Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to what is scheduled to be a series of webinars about stopping school bullying. This webinar is brought to you by the ICNA Council for Social Justice, which is a division of the Islamic Circle in North America. The Islamic Circle of North America is an organization that has been in existence now for almost 50 years. And we have realized that by being civically involved, that the relevance of the organization is only enhanced. And so we chose as our first national campaign for the Council for Social Justice, the issue of school bullying. This national campaign is not just for members of the Islamic Circle of North America. The campaign is for anyone who is concerned about this national scourge of school bullying. In 2007, the National Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia, declared school bullying as a national epidemic. It's a national crisis, the lengths that some students go to intimidate and harass their fellow students. This campaign is not exclusively concerning Muslim students, but our primary focus will be the Muslim students. There are a number of statistics that bear out our concentrating on this very unique population. The campaign itself is designed to mobilize diverse demographic populations to take individual and collective actions in their school districts to reduce, if not eliminate, the unacceptable practice of bullying. The focus of the campaign is a focus that is essentially a focus on understanding and mobilizing, first understanding why are Muslim students being disproportionately targeted in their schools to be bullied by other students. We can look at a very useful and very helpful article that can be found on the internet by Alice Chen, CHEN.org/RB, AliceChen.org/RB. And if you go to this particular article, we find that the definition of religious bullying is intentionally or unintentionally degrading another person emotionally, mentally, or physically based on actual or perceived religious identity. Unfortunate for a number of Sikh students and Sikh adults, because of the men wearing the headdress that they wear with the turbans, many Sikhs are mistaken for being Muslims. And as a result of the heightened Islamophobia that has been dominating this nation, especially since 2011, these Sikh students, by being identified, mistakenly identified as Muslims, are being targeted, they're being bullied for this mistaken identity. So we find that when we look at statistics concerning bullying and school bullying itself, many and varying sources tell us that 1 out of every 3rd public school child has reported being bullied, that 64% nationally of school children in public schools don't report being bullied, that 90% of children who are the victims of physical bullying are also being bullied through cyber bullying, through the internet and through social media. And a very alarming statistic is that 42% of Muslim children report being bullied. This is on a national basis, on a national level, that 42% of Muslim children going to public schools report that they are being bullied. What makes this statistic even more alarming is the fact that the Muslim population, that Muslim students, are the least likely group to report that they have been bullied. They are least likely to report it to their teachers, to their parents, to school administrators. But yet, even with this reluctance to report being bullied, 42% of those Muslim students have come forward and said that, yes, we have been bullied in one way or another. Another very important document and report was put together by CARE. CARE California put together a report called Mislabeled: The Impact of School Discrimination on the California Muslim Student Population. In this particular report, they found that amongst Muslim students in the state of California, that 55% of these students had reported that they were being bullied. Alarmingly, that's twice the national average, that 55% of Muslim students who had taken part in this survey reported that they had been bullied. But as I said, this is twice the national average. Some interesting statistics did come out of this report as well, such as males being the highest gender population who would be bullied in public schools. And very interesting that Muslim females in public schools are more likely to be bullied not by their fellow students, but to be bullied by their teachers. This is a very interesting and alarming statistic. In Greensboro, North Carolina, there was a Muslim girl. There is a Muslim student who was attending public school there. And her mother happened to attend the mosque where I attend in Winston-Salem, an adjacent community to Greensboro. And the mother showed me after Salatul Juma a video of her daughter being viciously beaten by a group of her classmates, her schoolmates, and the group even included another Muslim girl student. It was very painful to even watch, so I asked the mother to turn it off after witnessing the senseless beating of this child, where the bullying had escalated to the point of going beyond just words, but now there was the physical hitting and physical abuse of this young Muslim girl. This particular event is one of many events that go on in the public schools across the country on a day-to-day basis. Now, why would the ICNA Council for Social Justice feel the need to come forward on an issue like school bullying, and we're talking primarily about the public schools? Well, the very important reason for us to understand is that the majority of Muslim students in the country do not attend Islamic schools, that the overwhelming majority of our children, our Muslim children who are school age, attend the public schools throughout the country. And by attending these schools across the country, they therefore are in a position to become either a written or an unspoken statistic as being a victim to the scourge of bullying across the country in the public schools. Now, one of the natural response when we talk about developing this national campaign and pushing this national campaign forward is, well, why don't we start pulling more of our children out of the public schools and enroll them in Muslim schools, and then we wouldn't have that particular issue. Now, I would have to say that we can turn and look at many of our Islamic schools across the country, and they will tell you that there is not a 0% incident of bullying, even in the Islamic schools. But of course, it's much, much better. But the reality is that because our children are in public schools and not in Islamic schools, first and foremost, because we don't have enough public Muslim schools, we don't have enough Islamic schools across the country to accommodate the needs of all of the Muslim children that we have in this nation. So we have to be concerned whether your child is going to a public school or your child is in an Islamic school. This is a Muslim issue. And I want to try to suggest a few actions that can be taken by the Muslim community. As I said, this campaign is not just for members of the Islamic Circle of North America. This campaign is for every Muslim, every concerned parent who either has a child in public school or in Islamic schools, the concern for our children being abused. Before I get into these very specific recommendations and suggestions, I'd like to mention also how important it is for us to recognize the long-term harm and damage that a young, impressionable child may develop as a result of being bullied at a young age. School psychologists and others report that damage, that psychological and emotional damage inflicted on young people when they are very young, particularly in their impressionable years, is likely to have negative effects on their mental and emotional well-being well into their adulthood. So what is just passed off as just child's play can often be something that will scar the psyche of our children, not just as young people, but when they become responsible adults as well. So the first recommendation about how to educate ourselves about school bullying and how measures that we can take as individuals and organizations, as masajid, as Islamic centers, is to actually go to the website, ICNA, ICNACSJ.org/stop-bullying. That is ICNACSJ.org/stop-bullying. This particular site is a treasure trove of recommendations, of information, so that when you're in your local area, you won't have to just start from zero. You don't have to try to reinvent the proverbial wheel. That because on this particular site, we have examples that can be used in about many of the recommendations that I'm about to make here in a few minutes. One of the first efforts that we recommend that individuals who want to get involved in this campaign that they should do after looking at this particular site of ICNACSJ.org/stop-bullying is to meet with your child's teacher, to meet with the school guidance counselor, to express your concern with your children's teachers about some of the incidents that are occurring maybe in your local school district, maybe even with your child in your child's classroom, but particularly with the national Muslim population. And so by meeting with your teacher, there are many different avenues that you can go down in trying to raise the awareness of the teachers about what is going on in their classroom in terms of recognizing signs that a child is being bullied. For an example, the researchers tell us that when you see a child who was once very vibrant and lively and outgoing, now suddenly becoming very withdrawn and almost morose, that this is a good giveaway. This is a very clear sign that that particular child is suffering either from some kind of turmoil or a trauma that is occurring outside of the school, but within that school environment, it should be looked at first as maybe there's something that's going on with the child at school that is causing this particular personality change that has come about so suddenly. So meeting with your child or your children's teachers is a very important first step. To have these teachers, the hands-on people with your child, oftentimes and most of the time doing more waking hours during the course of a week than the parents have with the children themselves. We also recommend meeting with principals of the schools in which you have children in the schools, or if your children and your child is beyond public school age, to actually go identify a school and meet with a principal there. And by meeting with the principal, point out that you, as a concerned parent, as a concerned taxpayer in the school district, are concerned about the issue of school bullying. And you are particularly concerned about the issue of the bullying of Muslim children, because, as I cited in earlier statistics, that Muslim children are the population of students who are least likely to report that they have been bullied to teachers, administrators, or to their parents. And so because of this, when you meet with the principal, there are so many different options that we have to talk with the principal about. In addition to your personal concern, we can talk to the principal about having his school adopt a pledge, have the students adopt, I will not bully, and have them pledge and sign a pledge. Examples of these pledges can be found at the site icnacsj.org/stopbullying. This is a very effective measure for us to take within the public school districts in which we live. Also, when we meet with teachers, we can also, not so much the teachers, but with the principals of these various schools, we can also point out to them that you have available a team of people who can come in and help to do sensitivity training for the teachers and administrators of the schools within that particular school district. And you can talk to that principal about his particular school that you would like to offer as a service to the school, and for no charge, to just come in and offer the sensitivity training to enlighten the school administrator and his staff about those nuances, about identifying and correcting the issue of Muslim students being targeted in his or her particular school. You can use the CSJ itself as a resource. If you do not have the trained Muslim counselors or psychologists or other professionals who are qualified and who you feel would be effective in communicating the information about recognizing the signs of Muslim kids being bullied and how to take effective measures when you recognize these signs, then you could contact the CSJ office, and we will have someone to come to your school district. As you set the opportunity up, we will have someone come to your district and do the sensitivity training for a particular principal. And another part of this is by meeting with the superintendents and the divisional superintendents of the school district in which you live. You can also get a system-wide agreement that you would be able to provide this service of educating and sensitizing teachers and school administrators to the issue of the bullying of Muslim children. As I had mentioned earlier, it's very frightening to think that teachers themselves in public schools, particularly within the last year or within the last 2 years, because of the political climate and the overall environment of Islamophobia that has been fomenting for so many years in this country, that what's happening now is that there are more and more incidents of teachers actually being the one to bully Muslim students in the classroom, or they are the ones that once the students report that they have been bullied, have such a cavalier attitude or just dismiss out of hand whatever the Muslim students are saying. So within these recommendations, I'm recommending that we make arrangements to speak with school superintendents and divisional school superintendents in your district to try to get their agreement to allow for sensitivity training within their district, to get the individual schools for their principals, when meeting with the principals, to allow for this, to encourage schools on the various levels, particularly on the elementary and the junior high levels, but don't disregard the high schools as well, that you would get the principals of schools at these different grade levels to agree to have their students sign "I will not bully" pledges. And as mentioned before, these pledges, copies or samples of these pledges, can be found at this site, icnacsj.org/stopbullying. Another recommendation is that we identify our potential partners in this effort of trying to either alleviate or lessen the incidence of school bullying, public school bullying, or to potentially eliminate this altogether, that we actually identify partners either in both in the interfaith community, those congregations, or those faith community leaders who have shown a sensitivity to issues like the targeting of Muslim children, the targeting of children based on their religious identification or their misidentification. In this particular instance, we find that there are many people who are students who are incorrectly identified of being from one faith tradition or another. And this is so prevalent in our schools today that our interfaith partners would be a very reasonable group that we should approach to help us in this effort with a national campaign to stop school bullying, because it's a matter of protecting our children. Also, within individual schools, almost every public school has a group, a PTA, a Parent Teachers Association. And I'm recommending that through our Parent Teachers Association, and I encourage, if you are not involved already, that you become actively involved in the Parent Teacher Association of the school where your child and your children attend school, and that you bring it to the attention and put it on the agenda of the PTA at the next meeting, a discussion about this issue of school bullying, and try to get the PTAs to be partners in your efforts to help heighten the awareness about the issue of school bullying, but also to come up with responsible consequences for students when they act out in this particular manner. What we have done, and I want to offer a few more suggestions to you, and the role that Islamic centers and masajid, even community centers, the role that they can play in this campaign is tremendous. Whatever masjid, whatever Islamic center that you attend, it is very important that we introduce and we get a commitment on the part of the administration of the centers in which we attend, that they too will be partners in this particular effort. And how will they be partners? by just allowing for a speak out to be held in their particular facility. We're talking about speak outs, holding speak outs that would be driven by the local Muslim communities to allow the Muslim students in the public schools, or even Muslim students in Islamic schools, to come to a discussion where they will feel comfortable in speaking out about the issue of school bullying. What has happened to them? What have they seen happen to their classmates, to the other schoolmates? So it's very important in these speak outs that the Muslim children be allowed to have a facilitator that they are comfortable with to share their thoughts and share whatever is happening in their lives. There will be additional information put on the site that I've referenced a number of times about these speak outs and how important it is oftentimes in these kinds of situations not to have parents involved if parental involvement in these sessions would inhibit and prohibit the young people for being honest and speaking about what is going on in their lives as it relates to bullying or being bullied in public schools. So a facilitator that the young people are comfortable with, that they feel free to share the information, that the students, the young people who participate in these speak outs, that we would get their permission to share anything that they have said to their parents, to their family members. If they don't want it shared, then we cannot break their confidence. But it's important for us to identify those students in the Muslim community who are being bullied. There are certain services, there are certain Muslim counselors, there are others who could assist in trying to unpackage some of this emotional damage that comes about by a Muslim student being bullied in the public school. So every masjid, every community center, every Islamic center should have information about this campaign, that it should be available as a resource to have these speak outs there, that there should be an opportunity for the young people in the masjid to feel that their masjids are a safe zone, that they can come to the masjid and share the concerns that that are very pertinent and relevant to them and their success and their future well-being. So this is a way that we can involve and make our centers and make our masjids feel as a place of greater relevance to our youth if we are addressing issues like they're being bullied in the schools in which they are attending. A very ambitious project that is a part of this national campaign is that of trying to get the mayors and the county managers in particular of the school district in which you are a part of to come forward to declare. And we're looking at the date, not looking at the date, we have established the date of January the 22nd. And I know it's close to that time now, but January the 22nd, 2018, of having that day declared in the city in which you live or the county that governs the school district, declared as Stop School Bullying Day. January the 22nd, 2018, the process of establishing this is first to have some activities planned, to plan whatever activities you want to have as a part of your local campaign to actually plan on January the 22nd to either have a program in your masjid, in your Islamic center, to have a program in a community center, to have a program in a public library, to have a program at any site that you deem a viable site to bring the community together to talk about this issue of school bullying, particularly public school bullying. So before approaching a mayor or approaching a county manager to get a proclamation about stop school bullying, protecting our children, stop school bullying, on January the 22nd, establish some event or events on that day in that particular school district before even approaching the mayors or the county managers in different areas. This is a process that we feel is very effective. It is working for us in a number of areas. I can say particularly in North Carolina, we have preliminarily gotten a very positive response, and we very much, inshallah, expect to have a proclamation on January the 22nd from the mayor of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and the county manager of Forsyth County there, where Winston-Salem is a part of that county, on January the 22nd from both the city and county entities, have a proclamation for January the 22nd, a Stop School Bullying Day. We have gotten very positive response from the mayor of Burlington, North Carolina, to bring forth this proclamation on January the 22nd. We are also in conversation with the mayor of Charlotte, the newly elected mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina, and we feel that we'll get a positive response from the mayor there as well. In Vienna, Virginia, CSJ staff has met with city and county officials and to get this day proclaimed as Stop School Bullying Day. And whereas they feel, as a school district, they feel confident and comfortable in the fact that they are actually handling their business in that particular school district, they are interested in workshops. They're interested in sensitivity training that can come out of this campaign that can be made available to school districts across the country. So January the 22nd is a very important date. It is a date that we hope to have a series of municipalities and county districts to have January the 22nd proclaimed as Stop Bullying Day in these areas. We're also planning in many cities across the country, and we are just starting the dialogue with some of the Muslims in certain cities across the country to have billboards that will appear in different cities that will announce to these local communities and surrounding areas that this national campaign is going on, and will suggest ways in which they can be a part of these particular campaigns. This particular work is work that is immediately beneficial, but it's something that each and every one of us can play a role in trying to stop or to slow down these incidences of bullying within the public school system. Another very critical area about this campaign, and it may be somewhat of a sensitive area, is that we recognize that even within the Muslim schools themselves, that the issue of bullying and Muslim children bullying other Muslim children for whatever that reason may be. Maybe it's because of diversity, some type of diversity, whatever the reason, we have to be honest and recognize that the phenomena of bullying is also within our Muslim schools, our Islamic schools. And so we need to address this issue within the Islamic schools as well. So for our Muslim teachers in these Islamic schools, for our Muslim principals in these Islamic schools, we have to be sensitive and recognize that, yes, this is an issue. It's not the kind of issue that may occur against Muslims as we find in the public schools, for they're being targeted simply because they're Muslim, or simply because they're Jewish, or simply because they come from they're Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses or some other minority faith community in this country. But in the Islamic schools, there are children who are also being bullied for varying reasons. And as I know that this is a very sensitive issue, but Muslim schools should not be eliminated from being involved in this discussion about bullying, even though it's Muslim on Muslim bullying, but it's still a very critical issue. I want to address just in our closing minutes here, how important it is for us to recognize that bullying is not just something where a child's lunch money is being taken and that child is being deprived of their lunch money, or a person is being verbally abused or intimidated or threatened to the point that they don't want to come to school, or a Muslim child who was once very responsive in the classroom, but because of bullying and intimidation, now they don't raise their hands in classes anymore, but they just want to become almost an invisible population. But we have to recognize that there is another more dreadful consequence. And I'm not trying to make a direct link between the high rate of child suicide and public school bullying. But the fact of the matter and the reality is that the fastest growing population group as it relates to suicides in this country are young people between the ages of 10 and 14 years old. And so whether or not there is statistical data to back up a claim saying that, yes, there is a direct link between public school bullying and the increased suicide rate amongst children, I think that there is enough circumstantial evidence, there have been enough incidents of children committing suicide and leaving suicide notes saying how they were being bullied in school, that there was no relief from the bullying because cyberbullying, where one is able to use social media, one is able to use the internet, to have 24 hours a day access to their targets, those people who are being bullied. So young people who once were just targeted while they were in school or a phone call after school now have this World Wide Web, and these other students have access to them through social media and through other means on the internet. So the high increasing incident of suicides amongst young people in this country is a statistic that should not be overlooked. Unfortunately, and I'm not in a position to comment authoritatively on this particular incident, but there was a relatively recent incident in the United States, and I'll just put it like that, where a Muslim student who was attending a Muslim school committed suicide. And I'm not trying to suggest that being bullied at school was the only reason or was the only consideration for this child to feel that her life at such a tender young age had become so miserable that she needed to end her life. But the reality was that her committing suicide was in part because of her feeling that her life was just hopeless and that she was being bullied at every particular turn. So this particular campaign is a campaign that opens the opportunity for the ICNA Council for Social Justice to be a part and to try to spearhead an effort that could be inclusive of every member of our households, the father, the mother, the children, the grandmas, the grandpas, that it's a campaign that we all can play a part in, whether it's in providing leadership and research in our local school districts and trying to find out, now let's determine what is actually happening with our Muslim student population in this particular district, whether it's organizing and galvanizing people to be involved in this particular effort, or whatever it is. This Stop Bullying campaign is one that you don't have to feel that you're by yourself. There are very experienced, there are very highly motivated individuals across the country who are some within the ICNA Council for Social Justice Network, some who are members of the Islamic Circle of North America, some who are good-hearted Muslims who have no official relationship with the organization or with the CSJ group, but are concerned about an issue like school bullying. So we invite you to join ICNA CSJ and the Islamic Circle of North America in our effort to bring closure to a very horrendous occurrence, daily occurrence that's happening against our children. We invite you and encourage you to become a part of this national campaign, that the emphasis being protecting our children, and the OUR, the OUR, not just Muslim children, but this campaign is primarily a religious-based campaign. It is a campaign that's even more specific to Muslim children. We would ask that if there's nothing else that you feel that you can have to contribute, that you make dua, that you pray, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help this campaign to be successful, that it will reach its goals and objectives. The campaign is a campaign that we have started and said that this will be a 1-year campaign. So at the conclusion of the academic school year for 2017-2018, the campaign will continue. The campaign, we found, was a little slower in its mobilizing and its networking and its partners and potential partners, and getting collaborative entities to work together with this particular effort. But now, as the days go by, we're finding more organizations, more individuals who are offering their support and offering their help with this campaign. So we're very thankful that you have joined us today for this first of what will be planned, and it will be announced in advance, of a series of webinars on bullying, particularly religious-based bullying of school children in the United States. We will have in front of you for these webinars experts in areas of um, of school behavior and behavior modification, even when necessary, of sensitivity training and other areas that you will find helpful, not just for your own just personal gratification, but also to be able to take this information and to use this information. As we conclude, I want to once again, and I'm feeling almost like a person making an advertisement for a product or something, where you hear on the radio and the telephone number gets repeated 1,000 times. But if you would just go to the site, the icnacsj.org/stopbullying, you will find a wealth of information there about the campaign, information about the issue of bullying and faith-based religious bullying in particular at this particular site. We have and on this particular site, you will see a phone number for the CSJ Justice Hotline. This is another avenue that if you feel that you don't know what steps to take, if your child or you know of some child that is being bullied in the school district and you want to report this to see whether or not there are resources that could assist you, starting with the ICNA Council for Social Justice. You'll find that information on that page as well. This phone number is a toll-free number. You can call this number. If the phone is not immediately answered, someone will, in a very short period of time, get back with you to answer any questions that you may have, to assist you in trying to be not only reactive, but proactive in this area of school bullying. So if there are any questions that you may have, please do not hesitate to contact ICNA CSJ, and we will be glad to assist you in whatever way that we can possibly assist you. But please remember the steps that we had talked about: meeting with your principals, meeting with the teachers, meeting with the public school administrators, meeting with the superintendent, the division folks, trying to get the schools to have their students sign "I will not bully" pledges, becoming a bully-free school, identifying partners like from the interfaith community, from parent-teacher association, from other activists within the community, working towards having your local area mayor or county manager declare January the 22nd as Stop Bullying Day, organizing programs on that particular day, even before approaching the mayors, to say that this is what we have going on this day, and to lend the weight of the city government or the county government behind this particular effort. We would like you to proclaim January the 22nd as Stop Bullying Day. For those who are in Muslim communities, that you have the resources, or you're capable of getting the resources to have Stop Bullying billboards, Stop Public School Bullying billboards protecting our children. Have these in your area. Please contact ICNA CSJ, and we can help try to give you information and to facilitate this particular process of having on our highways and having in our cities a reminder of this very important national campaign. It's been a very much a pleasure being joined by you on this evening. We hope that you will continue to participate in subsequent webinars on this subject. But even more importantly, we want you to get involved in this campaign in whatever way that you see that you can assist, even if it's just referring others to us. So you can contact ICNA CSJ, Brother Ramiz Abbott, who is the national coordinator for this campaign. You can contact me, Imam Khalid Griggs. I'm a vice president of ICNA in the particular area of civic engagement. So we appreciate the time that you've shared with us, and for any future and further information, please do not hesitate to contact us. And with that, I wish you a very good day, and assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.